Hi everyone, welcome to Obatech Analytics. My primary aim is to make sure that I simplify complex statistical concepts and analysis for everyone to understand without necessarily having the background or the technical knowledge, so that when you understand it will go a long way to help you to apply it in your own specific field. So having said that, today I want us to explore Stata and know how it works. So to me, I like Stata because it's very easy to use and the command lines are easy to memorize. So when you open up your Stata, after you must have gotten the license, because Stata is not a free source software. You have to buy the license and then activate it. So when you open your own Stata, this is not how it will look. The display here will be your basic information. It will show your name, your university, your license number, and a lot of other private information. So what I did is that I wrote some comments. I kept on writing Stata until those information went up. So if you notice, I can move this, I can drag this around. So that is what I did. So don't really get confused when you open up your own and you're not still seeing Stata like my own. Rather, what you will see is your information. So having said that, what I need to do now is to explain how Stata works. First is that if I want to write comment, this is the command line. If I want to write comment, I use asterisk and I can go ahead and write Stata. And when I run it, this is how I got all this data. Stata will recognize it as a comment because I use asterisk. So aside this command line, this is where your results will be displayed, where you are currently seeing all this data. So and another thing, by the left you will notice there is a history, and the history tells you how many lines of code you've already written. So you can see I've written 1 to 16, right? If I don't want the history, I can close it. For instance, I need a bigger screen for my results, I can close it. But if I want it back, I go to the history and open it up. By the right, you notice variables. This is where all the variables of the data frame you've been able to import will show. So if you don't also want it, you can close it. Or if you need it back, you can go to Windows and you click your variables. It comes back. Then here are a lot of functions that you can use. For instance, you want to plot, here are graphics. In case you don't remember the command how to write it, you can just go and punch it and it will be plotted just like the basic SPSS. Here is your statistics. It has a lot of statistical analysis that you can do, so you can go on your own private time, you can try to explore them. Here is user, here is window that I've already talked about. If you need help with any of the Stata and you need resources, here is a good place to check it out. So all these tabs are all relevant for different kind of analysis that you might be doing, but I want to make emphasis on the do file. If I click on it, it opens up. This do file in Stata is equivalent to just arrow script. This is where you can write your code and save it for future use, or maybe you want to send it to somebody else who wants to replicate your results. You can write from here and save it. So I will always advise you to use the do file whenever you're coding in Stata. It goes a long way to help you, so that when next you want to replicate those results, maybe with a different data, you don't need to start writing the code afresh again. You just open up your do file and do some maybe basic adjustment to the code to fit into the data you want to work on. So now in do file, when I use also comment asterisk, it recognizes it as a comment. I can say Stata basics, right? I can also use double slash. It's also a comment. You can see that it is Stata basics. So but if I want to write a code, let's say for instance I want to tabulate, you see it will suggest the relevant code for me, just the way RStudio would do when you are typing something, and it will automatically suggest what you want to type, so that it makes your work easy. So you see it's trying to suggest a lot of things for me. So I will come back to this and utilize it when we'll try to work on some example. So having said that, can we try to maybe simulate data that we can use to see what Stata can do, and the basic analysis we can do with Stata for now? Yes, we can do that. So I will go to R. So when I go to R, I can do the simulation. So the first thing, I may want to create a variable called age. And what do I want in the age? I want to, let me simulate with a normal data that is normally distributed. So I need just 10 observations. And what will be the mean? Let me say the mean age for students that are already in high school or maybe college. Let me use 26 years as the average, as the mean. So if I use 26, and then what will be the standard deviation? Let me use 6.5. So yep, so let me check the age. Oh no, like I have a 14 years old here, so it doesn't really make much sense. I don't need anybody 14 years. I need at least from 18 years and above. So I will try to reduce my spread. Let me just use maybe 3.2 will be okay. Let me check again. All right, I think I have what I want. You can see the least person here is 19 years, right? So I'm okay with that. So the next thing I want to work on is that maybe let me work on their sex. Let me generate a variable for sex, and here we go. I say the first one is male, and the second one is female, and the third person is maybe female again, and the fourth person is female again, and the fifth person is male. I can replicate this 4, copy, and comma. So 5 for then remaining just 1, right? I can say let the person be male. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So the next thing, I can also go ahead and say, okay, let me get a variable called height, and if I need that, I'll concatenate it, and I will say I will still try to simulate it this time around again. I need just 10 variables, and what will be the mean for the height? Okay, let me say 170 cm, right? And what will be the let me use 4.3, and I will load it. So when I do that, and so when I do that, I can go ahead and check my heights. Okay, I like the results. And the next thing is I can talk about whether they like going to school. Maybe your questionnaire, you're trying to ask them, do you love education? So I can just do something. Let me use a edu for the naming of the variable, and some of them maybe it's a yes or no answer. They will say, some people will say yes, and another person says yes, another person says no. You say no, why are you there? Somebody said yes again, and another person said no, my parents made me ask me to just go. I'm just here to make sure they are happy, not because I like education. Another person said yes. Wow. Another person said yes. So we have here 2, 4, 6, 8, right? So remaining just 2. Another person said no, I don't like it. Another person said yes, but not because I like it, but because I have a lot of friends here. Okay, so I will load it. So how about I go about I try to get maybe height. I already have height. What if I get weight? So what I'm trying to do here is that maybe we'll have 2 categorical variable and then 2 measured variable to play around with. So I will say let the mean for the weight be maybe 55 kg. I need 10 observation, then the mean should be 55 kg. What is the spread? Let me just still use 3 points, maybe 1. I don't want it to go far from the mean. So if I go ahead and do this, let me check my weights, and okay, I like that. So I have how many here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, variables. So I think I'm okay with that. So let's call it student. Let's call the data frame student. So I will have a data frame that have age, and I have sex, and I have height, and what again? I have education, and I have weight. So if I have all these, it says variable error sex not found. Does it mean that I did not load sex? Let me check. So I've loaded sex. Let me go back and load okay, my data frame is good now. So can I view it? Yes, I can. So I will view students. So when I view it, and here is the new data I've been able to create just for this experiment. So I think it looks good, right? We have 2 categorical variable and have 3 measures. So if I go back, I can export it. Let me export it in CSV. But another thing, if I'm exporting this, I need to know where my working directory is first before I do the exporting, so that I will know where the data will be created. So when I check my directory, okay, say it's in documents. So I think I will just go ahead and create a new folder for this tutorial. Let me just create a folder here, so I can click, let me say new folder, or will I call it? Let me just call it Stata Basics. Right, so this is a new folder. I will use this folder as my working directory, so I will, both for this data and for this R coding that I'm doing. So I will do Ctrl+Shift+H, so it will open up, and I will pick up, I'll go to desktop. So I'll go to desktop, and when I get to the desktop, I will look. This is Stata Basic, the new folder that I just created. I'll open it up, and I will say open. So when I do check my working directory, you will notice instead of document, it has changed to Stata Basics. So let me write this file here. Let me write it out. What is the data that I want to export? I say the data is students. Which name do I want to name it? Let me just call it STU, short form, and let it be in .csv. And let me do this. Okay, so let it be a CSV file when it gets there. So let me do that. It is exported. So to confirm it, I can go to the here. You will notice this is the file, the data has been, let me open it in, is in CSV file, so I can open it. Let me see whether it looks fine before we proceed. Yeah, this is the data. You see how it looks like. It has age, sex, height, education, as well as what weight. So I think it's okay. We can now go ahead. Let's go back to Stata. So how do we import this data to Stata? That's another thing. So it's very easy in Stata. You don't need you don't need to stress yourself much. In Stata, when you go below here by the left down, you will notice a path to your computer. This is my current working directory. It is in document for Stata. So I will go here, open, and I will say straight up open, and I will, instead of, I will locate the folder. This is the folder we'll be working on, Stata Basic, and I will open it. And you will notice something here. It does not really record. It doesn't it says no item because it does not really recognize CSV. That is why it said no item. So but if it is a Stata document data, it will be recognized. So I'll just close it again. I will now go open. This is when I talked, this is where you can do your imports. Maybe if it is in a different format that Stata cannot easily recognize. And what is my format? CSV. I would select CSV. So when I select CSV, I will go ahead and I will browse it. I will go to desktop, Stata basic. This is the data we want to work on, students, and this is how it looks like, right? And am I okay with that? Yes. And I will say submit. So one thing you notice, I was clicking okay, and the number of times that I clicked okay, you can see 1 2 3 4. It kept importing it up to 4 times. So once you click submit, you just close that that interface. You are good to go. Then it will report here. It will tell you whether your data has been imported. Then when you go to the right side, like I said earlier, variables, it tells you the variables. Look at my variable here, 1 2 3 4 and 5. Then there is something they called variable 1. It is unlabeled, so Stata have to label it variable 1. Why? If you notice in the data, if you go back to the data, you will notice something, so you don't get confused. You notice that when I open it in Excel, it has a first, it created a different column where it tried to just give the serial number. Look at it. This is 1 to 10. I can as well delete it from here. If I don't want this kind of thing to happen, I will just delete it from Excel and reshape the data so that everything will just be okay. So when it is being imported instead, I will not have any unknown variable that the Stata need to start labeling for me. So that is, by the way, this is the what Stata is calling v1. That is variable 1. So if I go back to my Stata, so this is a v1. So now my data is in. So what can I do with this data? Let's say for instance, I have how many measured variable? I have height, right? I can just say, I can write sum. Sum means summarize. You can write it in full, but Stata allows you to write in short form. I can say sum. I can say height, right? If I don't want to write this height, I will just come close to here. There is an arrow that is pointing down. When you click on this, it brings it up here, right? And you just say enter. So the sum is for measured variable. It will tell you that okay, you have height, which is 10 observation. This is the mean, right? And this is the standard deviation. This is the minimum, and this is the the maximum. You can as well do sum. Maybe you want to you have a lot of measures and you want to just see them at the same time. You can say height, and you can also say weight, and you can as well say age. You see how it looks like. See, now you're talking about height, weight, age. You want to see the summary statistics. These, all of them are 10 observations. These are the mean, and these are the standard deviation. This is the minimum, and this is the maximum. What if you want to quickly see the visual? You can say scatter. You can say scatter. You can say okay, use height and age, maybe, which is what height against age. You can see it's kind of scattered, right? And we have some someone who is 20 years but is very tall, and somebody who is 28 years but very 160 centimeter. So it can just give you a clue on how the relationship that exists between the measure, right? I can also say scatter for this is for height, right, and age. What if I say height and weight? Let's see whether our data like falls well with the of course, you know that the higher the height, if your height is much, your weight is also, like, there is a positive correlation that as height increases, weight increases. Let's see whether our data, we just simulated this data. Let's see whether it corresponds to that with the scatter plot. So this is our data. And another thing you need to understand here, remember we just have few observations, so it will not really give us a very well defined pattern. But something you can notice here, if you check from here like this, you will notice something that is happening, right? You will notice something that this is a weight, right, when the height is this, but as height keep increasing, weight is also increasing. So if you check this pattern from here, you will notice something. So I think our data was able to also conform to that assumption. So let me close this. So this is for the measured value. What about categorical variable? How can we go about it? You can tabulate it. Let me say tab, and if I want to tabulate, I will say tabulate sex. So if I tabulate sex, you see it just gives me the frequency, right? It tells me this is sex. There is two categories, female and male. We have 6 females and we have 4 males. In total they are 10. This is the percentage, and this is also the cumulative percentage. So now another thing, what if I want to tabulate 2 categorical variable? So I can just go ahead and say tab, right, and I want to say tabulate sex and what, education. So when I do something like it tells me that for the female, and this is education, here is trying to, the intersection here is trying to talk about females that said no to education and the male that said no to education. Here is that female that answered yes to education, that they like education, and male that answered yes to that they like also education. These are the table. You can as well do a lot of other things with it. So this is how it works. And another thing you can do here, what if maybe you want the proportion of let's say male, right? You can quickly just write P arrow. So you can write it in full, but Stata allows you to also write it in short form, where you write prop of, maybe you say sex for the sex, and when you go ahead and you load it, it tells you that so when I try to run the proportion, there is something error that you will see here. It says string variables may not be used as factor variables. So let me explain what this thing means. Remember, I simulated the data, but I did not factor the data, because so currently Stata is understanding this variable sex as a string, where you have it is not really understanding it as a factor. Rather, for it to use it for this proportion calculation or maybe other major analysis, Stata requires to understand it as a factor. And for me to do that, what will I do? I'll go to this. This is if I want to view my data, this is a browser. It will when you click on it, it shows you your data. This is my data here, right? But if I want to edit the data or maybe adjust the data, this is where I do that. The next one, which is a data editor. So from here I can do some editing to this data in order to make sure that it recognizes this education as well as sex as factor instead of maybe string. So but that will be another tutorial on its own. So this is how the Stata works. Then the last thing I want to discuss here, which I also mentioned, is the do file. So this is the first do file that I opened up, and the other one that I just closed is because I clicked on this do file. What I'm trying to say is that you see this first do file, you can as well open other do files here. Maybe you're working on different projects, but let us focus on one now. So in the do file I can say, okay, I can write a comment. I say double slash, I say the what, the proportion of maybe male to female. The proportion of males to the female. I can write the code. I can say okay, you can just quickly say prop, but remember we can't do it because we need to convert this data to factor. Currently it's being recognized as strings, so we can say prop for the sex, and this is the code. So when I also go down, I can write another thing. I will say the 2x2, maybe I can just put it that way, 2x2 contingency table, right, of maybe sex and education. So you can just, and for you to do that, you say tablet, you have sex and you have edu. So that is it. So when you write comments and you write respective codes, you can save it, and this is what you can send out to somebody who wants to replicate your work. And when maybe you are doing a very maybe complex analysis, when you're able to document every step, all the code that worked, and you document it and give it a very good comment, it helps you. Maybe in future you want to replicate such analysis, maybe with a different data. Once you open up your do file, you can start working on it. Like, it makes the work very easy than just running your analysis, and when you have all your results, you are just good to go. You don't do any other thing. So, and another thing I will also teach as we go along is how you can also export your tables to in a way that when you export the table, it will be ready for you to add it in your document for publication. So it will export a very fine and well arranged tables straight from your Stata to an output where you can use it in your manuscript writing, and it will be very good. So that we have a lot to go about this data aspect. So this is by the way. Then the last thing I want to do here is I want to save this file, this Control S. I want to save the do file. Where will I save it? I will save it to the Stata basics, and I can call it maybe the name of the analysis. I'll say it's a students analysis, right? And I will save it. So it's saved. So, and I can go ahead and close it. I already have hold of all my codes. So whenever, for instance, I want to still work, I'm working on a different data here, and I feel like to use that do file code from the do file, what I will do is I will click open, and I will click here. This is statistics analysis. This is the do file. When I click on it, it opens up. So when it opens up here, how can I use it? I can just highlight this tablet, sex and education, and I will run it. And you notice something here, something happened here. Look at it. So this is the code. It has already been computed in the Stata. So this is how it works. So this is how flexible it is. So thank you so much. And what I take away from this tutorial is, first, how you can open up your Stata, how to understand the environment, then simulate data, and the basic thing you can do with the data you've been able to simulate, but most importantly, how to utilize do file in order to save your code for future use. Thank you so much, and please, thank you for stopping by to watch my video, and your subscription as well as like will go a long way to support me. And I also want to hear your comments, maybe things that you also want me to cover, and I will do justice to that. Thank you so much, and I'm very grateful.